Hello, wonderful listeners. A quick update for you. I have created a paid subscription for the podcast. For 99p a month, you can get an extra bonus episode per week and a monthly workshop episode where I go into a lot more depth, a lot more detail, and provide a lot more structure for your self-development. Now, whether you are a loyal long-term listener or just ready to go deeper on your self-development or just generally want to support the podcast, I would love to hear from you, and you can find the link for subscribing in the show notes. Enjoy the show. Hello everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Self-Improvement Project. I hope you are all well. We are in the midst of January now, and whether you've had resolutions or not, I hope you are feeling positive about them, whether they are changing your identity and who you want to become, whether that's now or in the future, or whether you've realised during going through the pain of these resolutions, you've almost come up with maybe something new or perhaps an alternative path. The one that you're supposed to go down. But you're going through it, which is good, and I wish you all the best with that. Slightly related to this topic around potentially goals and becoming other people, I want to talk to you today about two potentially similar things, but about how they contrast with each other. And this episode is all about ambition being good and desires being bad. Now, there's a famous Stoic saying talking about desire is what leads us to unhappiness. By desires existing in our lives, we're stealing the joy from what we currently have. And desires can be endless no matter what stage of life we are at. Yet, ambition feels like the same thing. When you sit down and think about the differences, it's pretty nuanced, and it's important to get clarity around how we can utilise one in a positive way, but not allow it to turn into something negative. I think it's important here to acknowledge that there's balance between the two. There is a difference, but it's very, very fine. Now, one of my main thoughts when I first thought about this contrast between ambition and desire was desire leads to pleasure and ambition leads to progress. Desire leads to that type of pleasure that we can't just get the high, we have to take the lows with it. Ambition could be seen as a form of pleasure when we achieve it, but there is an element of ambition continuing, that endlessness of ambition. And that ambition leads to that continual progress. I'm a big believer in progress existing throughout our lives. However, desire's endpoint is pleasure, and that endpoint, we almost fall off the edge of a cliff once it's complete. You could relate this to many things in your life, such as goals, achievements, how we live within not just our hobbies, but within our careers. You could even potentially look at this leading into relationships as well. I think it's important to always come back to our why here. Why we're doing something. Are we doing it for that pleasure, that dopamine, that status? Or are we doing it for that progress that is infinite, in the sense of, it doesn't matter what I achieve, I am always aiming towards that next best thing because it will make me better. Like I said at the start, there is an element of desire and ambition being part of the same family. But there's times where we maybe need to take a step back and look at our perspective of desire and turn it into ambition. I'm not saying that you can never have desires, that's impossible, but if you flip it into ambition, could it result in something more positive for you? It might be the same goal, but you're doing it for the ambition of the goal rather than the desire of achieving the goal. I like to think that desire is longing for something and ambition is striving for something. It's important here to look at things in your life that you have done, you've completed, or you look back and reflect in the sense of, was that due to ambition and are you continually working towards it? Or was it a desire from being someone, being something? And what comes with that, I guess. We've all been there. We can all look back. Whether we feel regret or not is subjective to ourselves. But as I mentioned at the very start with your New Year's resolutions, it's helping you get to the path that you want to, or even if that path is just creating clarity around who you want to be or what you want to become. And that's us today. I hope that has resonated with you to some extent. Hopefully those few minutes of just talking about the slight difference between the two can help you reshape, reform how you're approaching certain things in your life. Are you doing them for the right reasons, the wrong reasons? And think about the long-term impact of this. Ambition is inherently good if we're using it towards something that we want to be doing forever. There's no negatives with trying to make an impact on the world. But if we're doing something for desire's sake, then we might need to realign with what it is that we really want. I hope you've enjoyed that. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you all next time. Cheers. Hey guys, me again. I hope you enjoyed that episode, and if you're not ready for the Becoming Unstuck in 30 Days self-led course quite yet, why don't you try my free ebook I created? 5 simple steps to improve yourself and your life. I made this during the very first lockdown of the pandemic in the early days of the self-improvement project. It's a quick go-to when you're feeling unsure what to work on when improving yourself or your lifestyle. And the great starting point if you're trying to figure out how to live a more fulfilling and simple life. The link for this will be in the show notes for you. Have a good one.